Yo guys, what is up? Got some domination on Crossroad Strike, and I'll be using the MP5 with the Howard 77. Typical perk setup of Flat Jacket, Tac Mask, Assassin, Scavenger, Ghost Ninja. And the only real reason I'm using Scavenger is because I was using this MP5 setup in some previous games, and I noticed I kind of just burned through ammo. And I was just like, alright, I need to throw Scavenger on this because it just eats it like it's the good stuff. And scoring this game isn't the greatest. There's a story behind it, and I'll get to that in a minute. But this reminds me of the days where I used to run with a 6-man group of friends, and we would play Search and Destroy. Like back in the Modern Warfare 2 era, we'd get put up against other 6-man groups, or 3-man groups, or 2 parties, and the whole goal was to do better than them. And this kind of reminds me of those days. Before we loaded into this, I told Sylvan Nasty or Obo Mag, I'm like, yo, we need to win this fucking game. Let's go try hard and win it. Let's prove a point. Let's let them know we're better. And that's kind of what we do. Now, I'm only running with one person. Like I said, I rode with Nasty here. And the backstory to this game was we loaded into Domination last night on Cartel. We were 3-capped on C-Spawn, and if you've ever been 3-capped in C-Spawn on Cartel, you can kind of guess how it's going. It's not a fun time. It sucks. They were posted up in the sniper tower. They were running the routes in front of the house at C. Well, between the C house and the house beside C, they were running in front of that, you know, picking people off as they come out of spawn, the typical stuff. And when we go in the second round, alright, we can come back, maybe win if we 3-cap them for a bit. And there was a glimmer of hope for maybe a minute. We capped B, if I remember correctly, and then we lost all sorts of map control. And the same thing happened. I think we started on C spawn, and yeah, we just got 3-capped yet again, and they were set up in the same spots yet again, and we just got destroyed. I ended up going negative, and it's kind of lit a fire under my ass. And like I said earlier, I told Obo Mug or Silva Nasty, I'm just going to call him Nasty because it's easier that way. I was like, we need to win this game. I'm going to try hard, go try hard too, and let's just win. So that's why I'm using the MP5, and that's how we got here. The first half of this game, though, I don't do so well. Like, I'm playing on a moderate net because for some reason, like, X-Fi, my Comcast router for port forwarding, wasn't recognizing my ports. And it wasn't recognizing my ports because it kept using the wrong IP address. I was using the IP address on the other motherboard, and it's just a bunch of dumb shit. So I had to like go into the router after we were done playing COD that night and deactivate the device from X-Fi, unplug the connection, replug it in, find the device, unblock it, allow it through the firewall, all that good shit. It was just a mess. So I feel like being on a moderate net type, it really like hindered my connection a little bit. Like I feel like my hit detection was off just a bit. But let me tell you about the enemy team. So I noticed we got put up against the same 3 people again, and all they played with were snipers and silenced M16s, and all they would do was crouch around the map and pick people off, and they wouldn't move. They wouldn't move. They would sit in the same spots crouching and killing people. Now, the way I like to counter that type of gameplay is if you're going to post up in a spot, make sure your ass is covered, because I'm going to flank you. And that's about the only way you can really counter camping is ganking and flanking. And my whole mindset in this game was, they're not changing their playstyle up at all. Like, if you are getting constantly flanked and you don't change what you're doing, you're just going to keep dying. And I noticed that. I'm like, they're not playing as well as they were perceived to be playing. You know what I mean? Like, if you ever play against a team that destroys you on one map, you're like, fuck, those guys are really good. Then you play against them again on another map, and you start to see that they're not that good in the sense of things, if that makes sense. Like, you could do well on one map. You can get a good score on one map. But you can't apply the same strategies to every map. Like, on Cartel, the reason why they beat us was because that sniper tower is just so easy to head glitch from. And it's so hard to pick people off if they're using the YOG or M16 or a sniper rifle. Even if you throw grenades, all they have to do is hop out of that tower, kill you, go back up the tower, rinse, repeat, and not die. It's stupid. I've seen people get like 30-2 scores just sitting up there all game because my team doesn't know how to react to it. And that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to sit at this camp spot. They're trying to push into our building, which is where you'd like to be on this map because there's so much cover to pick people off as they come out of the C spawn. And they're just trying to play it like they did last game. And it's not working. You can't play the same map. You can't play the same way on every map because every map is different. Every map has a different strategy. And unless you can adjust to the strategy of the map, you're not going to do well on every map. If that makes sense. So that was my plan. Crossroads Strike is my favorite map in the game. I feel like I play it just about as well as I possibly can. And my strategy for this map, I'm not going to play on Armada Strike the same way I play on Crossroads Strike. Because you can't. Theoretically, you can. There's multi-levels to each map. But the main difference between this map and Armada Strike is if I want to flank into the B building, I can jump in water, rappel up. I can go underneath and rappel up. I can flank behind them into the building. You know, there's other ways I can get to them. In Crossroads Strike, it's a little bit different. I still can't take B head on to that very far left of the C spawn. I can't do that. I have an SMG. I'll get destroyed by whoever sat behind that crate or whoever sat behind the boxes. So I like to go through the C building. I don't like to go to the far right either because it's the longest long line of sight. God, what a tongue twister. So I come through this building. And it's, for me, it works because if my team is getting destroyed by the enemy team, like, alright, I know I can kill these people, so I'll just go ahead and do it. And that's what I do. I'll clear the building out, I'll go to B, and I'll cap B, or I'll pick people off going to B. And that's how I play this map. And the way they want to play is completely different from how I think you should play this map. And that's why, as you can see the score, they're not winning right now. They did flip, though, I will give them this credit. They know if you are on C spawn, you're going to get destroyed. Which if you can win this map on C spawn, you can win it on A spawn handedly. A spawn is the best spawn in this game. On this map anyway. So I will give them credit. They did do the smart thing. They did flip it back to their advantage in A. They just weren't good enough. Or how we perceived it as, oh, they just destroyed us. They are probably decent, and they really weren't. So if you ever think that person who destroys you on the enemy team is that good, honestly, the only way you can really tell is if you watch all their games and see how they play each map. And I think the best players are the players who are adaptable. Like, when we were playing against them, they kept doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, I just killed those two people looking in the same direction. Why are two people looking in the same direction when there's an open space where you can get shot in the back? It makes no sense to me. And I've noticed, from my personal experience playing this map, I've done the same thing. I will post up on that box, try to pick people coming out of C spawn, and I get shot in the back because there's no one to cover me there, no one to watch for me, and I die. And they kept making the most common mistakes this game. They kept going back to the same spots. They kept doing the same stuff. They kept doing things. They were relying on their gun skill, which to me they didn't have a whole lot of. Because with the M16, you have to have good accuracy. You have to be able to make sure you land your shots. You miss one burst against a fully auto like an MP5, you're dead, pretty much, straight up. And they just weren't doing that. They were crouching everywhere. They were hoping they hit their shots. And if you just go in and just shotgun the face, boom, you'll probably win 99% of the time, unless you get one of those feels bad hit markers. But I don't know. But my whole idea was, we're going in, we're going to destroy them. They're not as good as I think they are, or at least I hope they aren't as good as I think they are, because it'd make for a real bad time. And they weren't that good. And I felt pretty happy with how this game went. Even though the score I don't think is the greatest, it's still a 2 KDR. It's still breaking even, which is always a good point. And as you can tell by the score, we won pretty decently, I'd say. But like, I think these types of games are fun, where you go in with the mindset of, I have to do better than this person. I have to prove a point. I have to show that I'm not shit. Especially if you're like high level or max level and everyone expects you to do well, which is really annoying. It's not just because you're a high level doesn't mean you're good. It just means you put the playtime in, brother. That's all it means. I mean, there should be an even ground there, but that's a whole different video. Final score is 48-24, 7,000 score, 26 objectives. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and peace out.